Come on. Welcome to the I'm Josh Saying podcast. Man, it's another great day to be great. Another beautiful day in Zamunda. Yes, man, this is my very first show for I'm Josh Saying. And I'm super excited, man. We got some great content coming your way. We have dope guests, great information to get you going into 2021 and beyond, man. So we are really going to be talking about things from business, entrepreneurship, finances, sports. We're going to be talking about all great things when it comes to just really living your best life, man. And I'm just so excited, man. This is the very first show of I'm Josh Saying. And I want to thank our sponsors for today. And we're sponsored today by Pivot Technology School and also the Rollover Company. And you're going to hear more about the Rollover Company today with our special guest. Also, I'd like to thank Great Convo Media, where the chatter matters. Make sure y'all head over there, subscribe to all of the podcasts that they have listed on there, and especially subscribe to I'm Josh Saying as well. But we're going to go ahead and get going. I have my good friend, and we're going to be talking about strategic planning going into 2021, really setting yourselves up for success going into the first quarter of 2021. You don't want to wait until January to get your plans together. You want to start getting those plans together now. So when January 1 comes, you can start executing it. And I couldn't really think about anybody else that I would really rather have on the show than my good friend. I've been knowing him for over 10 to 12 years easily. You know, he started off as my tailor. Then it just became a great friend, man. He's doing such amazing things when it comes to finance. And we're going to be talking about getting your money right today. So we're going to be talking about that. And I have special guests, my guy, Mr. Charles Winfrey. Let's make some noise.
Appreciate it, my friend. Always glad to be a part of anything that you've done. Now, listen. I didn't know this was your first episode, so I'm honored.
Yes.
I thought I was like the 100th guest, and I was going to be grateful. So to be number one, this is exciting, really exciting.
Yeah, man, you are the number one guest, man. When I was I'm going through strategic planning myself when it comes to my organization and my business. And so I say, man, I'm going to kick off my show with a really strategic planning session when it comes to finance. We are going into an unprecedented year. 2020 was just crazy when it comes to finances, when it comes to just the whole pandemic. If you're in Nashville, you're listening from Nashville, we had a whole tornado. It's just been a levy of just so many different things taking place in 2020. And people are just, really trying to figure it out. Like, hey, man, what should I do? People are getting laid off. I think it's over 40 million people that have been laid off from their jobs or furloughed, or it's just so much going on. And we're going into, another year to really try to put a plan together so that we can be successful. And I just think that, with you can give us some tools and some tips and some really things to really look at when it comes to finance. So as we go into 2021, what are you seeing, or what have you seen in this year? And then what's some things that we need to prepare for next year?
Well, Josh, let's talk about what I see as a comparison. This is 2020. Let's go back 100 years to 1920. For those who are listening, you may already know this. For those who do not, let's just talk about from 1920 to 1929. That is considered the Roaring '20s. That is when it has been reported more millionaires were made from 1920 to 1929 in this country than ever before. Now, I want to contrast that with 2020. Here we are 100 years later. And what was significant about 1920 is that when you look at where the stock market began and where it ended in 1929, I see some comparisons from then to now.
Gotcha.
When we look back at the beginning of 2020 and we look at the impact globally that COVID-19 had, not just countrywide, but what it had on the economy, specifically the stock market, we saw the immediate drop. In fact, the fastest bear market we've ever had in this country happened in March. And a bear market, for those who don't know, is when you see the market drop more than 20% in a short period of time, typically over 3 months. We saw this happen within a month, and then it actually didn't go just at 20%. It got as low as 39%. Now watch this. We saw the market drop the fastest it's ever dropped, but then we saw it recover the fastest we've ever seen it recover.
Wow.
And so that's why I was telling you when we were talking in preparation for this show, I said, unfortunately, this has been a pandemic for many. But on the flip side, it's been a bandemic for others.
Come on,
where
man. Hold on.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. This is a I'm Josh saying moment. This is a I'm Josh saying moment. Let's run that back one more time. What did you just say?
We saw globally a pandemic in the name of COVID-19. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, when we look at how fast the market fell, and how fast it recovered. And we'll talk about how it recovered so fast. But we've seen a pandemic transform lives of so many people who from March to around September of this year. Well, let me give you the statistic. About $40 trillion has transferred from March of 2020 to August, to the end of August, beginning of September. Pandemic. Wow. Not trying to minimize what has happened and how many lives have been impacted and devastated. But let's flip it to say there are also people who saw this as an opportunity. Now, let's talk about how that is in comparison to 1920. I believe we are on the cusp of a new roaring 20. Wow. And so let's look at from 2020 to about 2029. I think this will be one of the best opportunities that we have to invest, to benefit, to participate in this capitalistic society in which we live. And it's probably going to happen much faster than we've seen even in the 90s, in the early 2000s. And so the first thing I want to give people who are listening, I'm going to give you 5 points, so write this down. Number one, stop wasting time.
Come on.
Stop wasting time. If we've learned anything in 2020, we cannot take one day for granted.
Nope.
We cannot assume that we are going to be here. We cannot assume that everything is going to be fine. You talked about it. Unfortunately, you felt this in a more personal way. But we started out with Kobe's death.
Yep.
Then we had the tornado in Nashville.
Yep.
Then we had the pandemic. And it just seemed like it's been a downward spiral. Yep. And so those three events just in the first quarter of 2020 showed us how fragile life can be. Mm-hmm. Why do we need anything else to remind us we've got to stop wasting time? So Josh, this is the new thing that I'm telling people. I'm even thinking about putting this on my voicemail. Is this a revenue generating conversation?
Hey, come on. Is this a revenue generating conversation? Hey, we need to put that on a shirt, man. That's going to be, is this a revenue generating conversation?
If it's not making dollars, it's not making sense. We cannot afford to continue to waste time because what we are seeing right before our eyes, we are seeing multimillionaires happening. And this is what is so amazing about technology. What we're doing right now is because of technology. What I feel is going to be the next boom from 20 to 29 is going to be because of technology. Technology shortens the time frame.
It does.
It shortens your learning curve. It shortens this belief that it takes 30 years in order to do it. It takes 40 years, and you've got to stay at the same job and go every Monday upset and frustrated and stay there and all. Man, technology is saying no. In fact, you don't even have to leave your home.
No.
You can do. And so my point is, we now do not have the excuse to say, well, I didn't know, I wasn't fortunate. You have an opportunity with your school that people can take advantage of that just 3 years ago, I'm not even going to go 10, I'm not even going to go 20, just 3 years ago was not even available. We do not have any more excuses that we can make. So we've got to be laser focused. We've got to be intentional that every move that we are making, it is for that end result, which is to build wealth and also to leave a legacy and generational wealth. So that's the first thing. We got to stop wasting time.
Man, come on, stop wasting time. I think, and it always baffles me sometimes, when we, with this pandemic and the conversations that have been going on in regards to the wealth gap and so many gaps that we have within, our community. But at the end of the day, we have so many opportunities if we stop using that as a crutch. I feel like we use the racism thing and so many things as a crutch when we all have the same 24 hours. We have the internet. We have so many resources to us to get us that information that we need to thrive. And we got to stop wasting time. We have to go ahead.
You segued right into my next point, and that is we've got to focus on building wealth.
Yeah.
And not debt. And let me tell you what I mean by that, man. And I'm glad you said what you said, that we are putting our energy into wasteful events. Dan Kennedy calls them time vampires.
Yeah.
People who will drain your time. We are draining our time, our energy by focusing on the things that are not going to produce wealth. This is the reason why I say we need to focus on building wealth versus debt. What we have historically done is said, I got to get out of debt. I got to get out of debt. I got to get out of debt. So we'll do the debt snowball. We'll do all of these different things. Why don't we shift our mindset to building wealth?
Yes.
It's said this way. In metaphysical world, it is said that you become what you think about.
Yes.
The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he.
Better believe it.
So we've got to be focused on building wealth, because when I'm focused on building wealth, Josh, I see opportunities like pivot.
Yes.
I see opportunities that are happening in the market. That is why Warren Buffett said, when people are being fearful, you need to be greedy.
Better believe it.
And when people are being greedy, you need to be fearful. And so right now, people are fearful.
Yes.
They are like, man, what is going to happen next? You've got to seize the opportunity and focus on building wealth. Now, am I saying get in debt? No. Am I not saying pay off your debt? No. What I do want you to do is figure out, how can I make more money? How can I have more generate more income? How can I build wealth? Because if I've got the wealth, if I've got the income, I'll be able to take care of the debt.
Come on.
But because we've been so focused on the debt, once we get the debt paid, we don't really have any money left.
We don't have no money.
Right. You know what I'm like, come on. I mean, Kroger does not care that you've got your debt paid off. They want to know, can you pay for these groceries? Exxon wants to know, can you pay for this gas? We've got to make sure we've got cash flow, but we also have to have that wealth generating accounts, assets. And so whatever it is, whether it's real estate for you, whether it's businesses, it's startups, if it's the stock market, whatever it is, focus on building your wealth and stop just focusing on getting rid of debt. I think we've got it in reverse. And so today we were having a lesson here at the house with our kids, and I was telling them the difference between saving and investing.
Yeah. We
have just been taught save, save, save.
Right.
Very rarely have we been taught
investing. That's right.
Okay. Saving is getting that 0.02, but that investing, when you do it right, and we're going to talk about how you can do it right, you can get 500%. Like that's a totally different way of looking and thinking about it. But that's what we're talking about. When we focus on building wealth, you'll find out about these opportunities that exist that you can put your money into that'll change a generation.
Man, come on, man. So look, I have your next book, man. So I have it's called it's the wealth building effect. So it's not the snowball effect, it's the wealth building effect, because I don't think we talk about that. We don't talk about the how you snowball to build your wealth.
That's good.
We talk about you snowball to take it and get out of debt, So it's all about, when, in your churches, all these churches are connected to that program.
That's right.
Where they go and just talk about debt and eliminate debt, but nobody is focused on the wealth generating opportunities. How do I lay the foundation of building generational wealth for my family? We don't talk about that, Winfrey. That is your next book, Winfrey.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, but this is the other thing too, man. And you talked about it. You talked about the wealth gap. All right. What do we know that, okay, let's deal with facts.
Yes.
We know we were indentured servants. We know that we provided 400 years of free labor. We know that. We know we were not given the 40 acres and a mule. We know that. But what I also know is that when we have the opportunity to learn and to become knowledgeable, many times we don't take advantage of that opportunity. We want to do what you said and just complain and just get mad.
Yeah. When,
to me, the best form of reparations is I'm going to take the thing you tried to keep me from.
Right.
And I'm going to turn it and flip it, build it for my family, build it for my future generation, and then go out in the community and teach other people the same thing so we can all eat together. That's how we flip it. Until that happens, until we get reparations and those things, these are the things we need to be doing now. These are the conversations we need to be having. These are the strategies we need to implement. And so that's why I feel this 2020 to 2029, 2030 is going to be an opportunity that we have to seize. Because, man, no matter how much we think we are still Superman, our bodies are reminding us every day we're not young anymore. Right?
No.
Okay. No. Time is running out. We must maximize this time while we have it. So let's talk about the third thing. This is the third thing I want to make sure that people are doing in preparation for 2021. That is, invest in yourself and also invest in the stock market. Two things: invest in yourself and invest in the stock market. So here we are doing this podcast the day after my niece has gone viral for her Beyonce tribute.
Oh man, let me tell you something. I tripped. I didn't see it on your page first.
Okay.
I tripped on it. Somebody posted it in their story, and I said, check this out, because it looked like Beyonce, but it was like a tribute. And I watched that thing for 14 minutes. And when I tell you that girl, was that Tabria Majors. Shout out to Tabria Majors. When I say she killed that, Chuck, she killed it, bro.
Well, so let me just give you a little context and why I say invest in yourself and in the market. She put up all of the money for that production. So there were a lot of people who thought this was kind of a PR for Ivy Park or PR for Beyonce. Beyonce's team knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
This was just her way, watch this, to get Beyonce's attention.
Come on.
All right. She put up the money. She is not a dancer. She hired a choreographer. She had a video director. And in 9 days, they produced what you saw in that tribute. Now, I bring that up because she was willing to invest in herself.
Yep.
Right? The price she paid, many people would not be willing
to pay
to invest that money.
Come on.
Okay? Now, what I want to make sure that everybody that's listening to us is that in 2021, start investing in yourself.
Yes.
You have invested in everybody else's dream. You have invested in everybody else's vision. You've invested in everybody else's business. When are you going to start investing in yourself? Because Warren Buffett, who has made the majority of his wealth through investing, he said the best investment you can make is in yourself.
Better believe it.
And so whatever that is that you have been waiting, you've been making excuses, you've been saying, I can't do it, The time is now to invest in yourself, because that's going to give you the best return. And then I want you to take that money you make off yourself, then put it in the market.
Come on.
Because that is going to be the best return you're going to get, because you took the risk on yourself, right? Then you're going to go ahead and take that interest that you made and then put it in the market. And then we'll talk about the type of investments you need to put the money into to even exponentially get better growth. So invest in yourself and invest in the stock market.
Man, I love it, man. I hopefully y'all are taking notes. I have a pen and a piece of paper right here taking notes. So number one is stop wasting time. Number two is focus on building wealth and not debt. And then number three is invest in yourself. We have to start investing in ourselves. You know what? We are so quick. We so quick to invest in get rich quick schemes instead of investing in ourselves to build long-term wealth. We have a short-term mentality, and that's why I don't think we've been able to really jump in the stock market and really, be able to ride the waves of the stock market, because we are microwave when it comes to building wealth. If it's not coming quick, if it ain't, hey man, I'm gonna put $500 in something to get $2,500 back next week. If it does not happen like that, then people are not taking advantage of investing in yourself. But you have to invest. That same energy that you put in to think you're going to get money really quick is the same energy you need to put in to building wealth.
Yeah, and so let me expand on this, because I don't want people to miss this important point. When I talk about investing in yourself, that means studying. That means reading. What did we talk about before we started on the podcast? You said you have been doing research on YouTube, right? Yeah. We no longer have an excuse that I can't afford to buy this book or buy this program. Man, you can find so much on a free service called YouTube, right? YouTube. You got a free web search called Google. You can find so much. Like when I say invest in yourself, research, read the material, study. Then there is going to be some skin you've got to put in the game. You are going to have to write a check, right? Yep. But this is what I found, Josh, and you know this yourself. I've never written a check that I've invested in myself that I have not made back tenfold. Never. I'm not going to say I wasn't afraid when I wrote the check, all right? But my returns have always been greater than the amount that I wrote. And it's the same way about the market, okay? And so that's why I still say invest in the market, but do it at your pace, but stop being afraid. Listen to what we just said. $40 trillion of wealth has transferred from March to August of 2020 for people who got out of the boat and invested in the market. Invest in yourself and invest in the market.
Come on, man.
Now, number two, this is what we got to do. So I want to kind of shift it and make it a little bit more financially related. You've got to invest in a Roth IRA.
Roth IRA.
Roth IRA. If you do not have a Roth IRA, you need to get one.
I do not have a Roth IRA.
How much? No, you got to get one. You got to get one. Let me tell you why. We are now knocking on the door of the 22nd anniversary of the Roth IRA. It is one of the best gifts that the IRS has ever given us, and most people are not utilizing it.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I say do a Roth IRA is because it is a tax-free account. You put the money in after tax. The interest that you earn, you do not have to pay the taxes on that interest as long as you have it for 5 years and you're at least 59 and a half. So let me tell you about that. You can put money in, and as long as it's in there for 5 years, no matter what age you are, you can still take out what you put in.
Okay.
But in order to get what you put in plus the interest, you have to be 59 and a half. Okay.
Gotcha.
But let's contrast the Roth with traditional. So many people are maxing out traditional IRAs, but they're not thinking about the tax they're going to have to pay in the future. Mm-hmm. So if there's one thing I want to make sure those who are listening to us, that you realize, pay the tax on the seed and not on the harvest.
Come on.
Pay tax on the seed and not on the harvest. There is no farmer in their right mind that would say, I want to pay tax on my harvest. They will jump and say, I want to pay tax on the seed. That's what a Roth IRA is.
Got you.
And if you're working for an employer that has a Roth inside of the 401k, this is what I want you to do. Put in the pre-tax money up to the match. So let's say your company matches 5%, dollar for dollar, but you're putting in 10% into the pre-tax account. What I want you to do is lower your 10% down to 5 to get the free money, and everything else you put in the Roth.
Come on, man. Free game alert. Hey, and then so what's the maximum contributions on the Roth?
Very good question. So if you're under 50, the maximum is $6,000 a year. If you're over 50, they allow you to do $7,000. But if you have a Roth that's available in your 401k, you can put a max of $19,500. And then if you're over 50, you can put in $27,000. All right. Now watch this though. If you earn too much money, they kind of put a limit on if you can or cannot contribute to a Roth. That's not a problem. You can do what is called a backdoor Roth, where you put money in a pre-tax account and then convert it to a Roth. Okay. So that's kind of high level, but I just want, if you're listening, you need a Roth IRA. Everybody's got to have a Roth IRA.
Come on, man. So was Roth IRA number 4? Okay, that was number 4. Okay, good.
Let's give you the last one. Technically, I went backwards because if I had started with number 1, people would have tuned me out. So I went backwards.
Yeah.
But let me go ahead and give you the game changer. You ready for this?
Come on.
Invest 70% of what you earn and live on 30.
Come on, my word. That's so invest 70% on what you earn and live on 30%.
Let me tell you why this is a game changer, Joe.
Okay.
For one, we've never heard percentages like that.
Never.
Okay. That's like out of the norm. So normally 10%, 15, 20, if you really just about it. No. All right. Let me tell you why I say 70-30 for 2 reasons. One, what was point number 1? It's actually number 5. But what was the first thing we said?
Stop wasting time.
If you invest 70% in the right investments, you only need 5 years.
5 years. Hey, let me tell you something, Chuck Winfrey. I know you are not getting new clients right now. We're not going to even give your information on this show because Chuck Winfrey is max to the max. But this game right here, brother, invest 70%, live on 30%. So
now we know that this is going to take people some time.
Yes.
But the reason why I'm trying to get you here is because we've wasted too much time. Things are going to be moving so fast.
Yes.
But the opportunity that we're about to experience, you need to get as much as you can while you can. And I don't want you just slowly. I want you to hit it hard, man.
Hit it hard. Yes.
Because so let's talk about this. You have done it, and you can talk about the experience. We want to kind of get people into understanding options. And this is not a commercial to try to push options, right? It's not. But I just want you to think about this. If somebody does what is called a calendar leap, which is basically you buying an option, a 2-year option, maybe a 3-year, that you stay in for 18 months or you stay in for 24 months, and then you roll. A typical calendar leap option on the low end can return 300%, but about on average, it's going to do 500%. All right. So just listen. I just want you to do this. So if you got a calculator, Josh, I want you to take it out real quick. And I want everybody that's listening to us to do this math. This is new math, right? 70-30 is new math. New math. But the return I'm going to show you. Let's say you just took $5,000. Okay. We said a Roth IRA, you could actually put in 6. So let's use that. Let's use 6. because we want everybody to do a Roth and we want them to max it out. All right, so let's do 6,000 times 5. Okay.
30,000.
30,000. Now do that times 5 again.
150,000.
All right, do it by 5 again.
750,000.
Do it by 5 again.
3.75 million.
And do it by 5 again.
18 million. 18.75.
In 5 years, if someone just took $5,000 and just 6,000, maxed out a Roth IRA, did one contract, a 2-year contract, in the right type of option.
Yes.
The numbers don't lie, man.
Good, my word. Now let's I don't know, let's go slow it back. Let's slow it down, my brother. Okay. So when it comes to options, because I asked you about options probably about a month ago. I asked you to send me some things on options because I've been hearing a lot about options, and I've been hearing a lot about people talking about options and planning options. And so I've been doing some research on it. Like, how do you find out what's the best options to get in? That's one. Yeah. And then two, do you put your money in the option and don't have to really monitor it, and it just kind of goes on its own, or is it something that you have to really?
So two things. So to answer your question, if you know how to pick stocks, you know how to pick options. Okay. So part of the problem that we're seeing is that we haven't really been taught how to pick stocks. So when I talk about investing in yourself, that's what I mean. You research it on your own or find someone who can help you. All right. So when you research a stock, you can look at it from either a fundamental analysis or a technical analysis. All right. So a fundamental analysis is when I'm looking at who manages the company, what's the vision of the company, what are their finances, what is their 5-year plan, 10-year plan? Because sometimes what we can find, Josh, is that we're not investing in bad stocks. We're investing in bad companies.
Gotcha.
All right. But then in a 2020 type of year, you may think that a bad company is really what's going on, but it's just a bad stock right now. But it's still a good company, right? Exactly. Let me give you a perfect example. Boeing Airline is still a good company. Yeah. Just right now, it's a bad stock.
Horrible stock.
Okay. All right. Just think about, if we just think about the time that we're in, right? Yeah. So fundamentally, if you look at the numbers and you look at the history, you're like, man, Boeing is well. But from a technical analysis, technical is when you're looking at the charts. And you have to learn RSIs and MACDs and candlesticks and all of these different, jargon that you'll come to figure out once you start researching it. But when you're a technical analysis, you're looking at the data to say, what type of cycle is this stock in? Mm-hmm. What type of period is it in comparison to what it's done historically? All right. And so when you learn how to do that, you'll learn how to pick good companies. But then sometimes we just got to use common sense. Like, what do I use that I have been using that I'm going to probably continue to use for the next 10, 15 years?
Yep.
That's a way that you can say, hey, this might be a company that I need to invest in. So that's why we always look at the management of the company. We look at the vision that the company has. And so when you do that from a stock perspective, because you can buy an option on any stock, you will say, oh, if it's a good company, then it may be a good option for me to buy based on this company stock. And so that's something that it takes time. So we're not telling people just jump in here immediately.
No.
But that's why I said, so watch this. So what we just did was new math, right? Just one contract. If you're living off of 30% and invest in 70%, it will not take long for you to build generational wealth. It will not be long for you to get walk away money.
Come on.
Everybody need walk away money.
That walk away money, baby.
Freedom money. That's what you need right now. That is what we need to have. When I say building wealth, focus on building wealth, that's what we're trying to get to, man. I promise you, it is not about houses, not about cars, not about any of those things, man. Because really, when you learn to live on the 30%, you'll be like, man, I got one vehicle, I'm good. I'm trying to change the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that, man.
Better believe it.
So that is the mindset shift that we've got to have right now going into 2021.
Come on, man. Man, hopefully you all have been taking notes. I've been taking notes, and we're going to read them again, but it's really about a mind shift. It's really about setting your mind up for success. It starts up here. It starts in the mind. And the mind is, I always talk about this, and we're going to be going into this throughout the podcast, but it's the enemy within that stops you. It's nothing outside of you. It's the enemy within you that stops you from investing in yourself, investing in the stock market, because you talk yourself out of it. No, I'm not going to do that. I may need that money for this or that. I may need that money for this and that. You'd have wasted so much time, wasted so much money second guessing your steps. When really we could be really investing in ourselves, investing in the stock market, and doing all these great things to really be the best versions of ourselves, man. So I'm gonna read these top 5 again.
All right.
Number one is stop wasting time. Yes.
Now don't leave this question out. This is a question everybody has to ask themselves.
Come on, this is the question for 20
revenue generating conversation.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. You've created 2 sound bites on the very first I'm Josh Saying podcast. One, is this a revenue generating conversation?
Period.
It is not.
Period. Because I have to protect my time.
Come
right?
on.
Time is money, man. We know that, right? And so we have to start realizing just conversations that we are having about frivolous things, right? Like this is the reality, Josh. We have already voted. I don't have to talk about the election anymore. I don't have to talk about the candidates anymore.
Right.
I've done my part. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
But come Wednesday morning, I got to still be on my grind.
Come on,
Come
man.
Thursday morning, I got to still be on my grind.
Come
right?
on.
And so this frivolous time that we are spending on things that do not put money back in our pocket, that's got to stop. That's got to
stop, man. It has to stop. And my mindset is I'm going to win regardless. I don't care.
That's right.
I'm going to win regardless.
Period, man.
Trump, Biden, Harris, whoever it is, I'm going to win regardless. So that is my mindset, and it's always been my mindset.
Because this is the other thing too, Josh, and we got to add this. The reason why we've got to get the wealth is because the real true impact we can make is when we have that capital. We have that money to really change our communities, change our bloodline, that's when it really happens, man.
Well, that's when it happens. Hey, look, I always say, man, we can do social justice, we can march, we can do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, we have to get ourselves together when it comes to money and when it comes to wealth, when it comes to building wealth. We have to be on the front lines of this stuff, man. We cannot get left behind when it comes to really, truly building wealth. And these next 10 years, you didn't hear the first of the conversation. Go back and rewind. All right. It's the same built up as the same roaring 20s. We have these next 10 years. These next 10 years can change the rest of your life and your generations and generations and generations if you take the first step today. That's why I wanted to start this podcast off with finances. And I knew my guy, Mr. Chuck Winfrey, was going to bring that heat today. So look, get your pens out. Number one, we're going to stop wasting time.
Number two,
we're going to ask
focus on building wealth, not debt.
Yes. Number 2 is focus on building wealth, not debt. What's number 3?
Invest in yourself and in the stock market.
Come on.
So you just said something, Jeff, and Josh, I got to add this.
Okay.
We talk ourselves out of so many opportunities.
Yes.
That negative self-talk. Do not take that into 2021. If there's one thing you resolve, I'm not going to talk myself out of opportunities anymore. I'm not going to let my upbringing, how I was reared. I'm not even going to let my family members, my loved one who cannot see the vision, they are not going to stop me. I've got to get out the boat, take that first step. And as long as I do that, at the end, I'm going to be fine. Number 2, maximize Roth IRAs.
That's number 4.
Number 4, maximize Roth IRAs. Well, actually, I went in reverse, but
okay,
yeah. Number 2, maximize Roth IRAs. Number 4, however you're listing it. It is one of the best gifts the IRS has given us. If you have a Roth through your company plan, remember what I said. Go up to the match on the pre-tax, then everything else above that, put it into the Roth.
Come on. And what's the last one?
Invest 70% of what you earn. Learn how to live on 30%.
Come on, man.
Even if you start at 50-50, even if you start at 60-40, even if it starts at 30-70, our end game is that's where we want to get to.
My word. Hey, and now let me ask you a really quick question. Okay. What's your, how do you feel about IULs?
So index universal life policies are really integral in estate planning. So this is what I want to make sure everybody who's listening to us thinks about the next 10 years. The next 10 years is about growth, exponential growth, right? You will need IULs probably 12 to 15 years from now. Okay. Because if I've had this exponential growth, in order for it to pass tax-free, in order for it to be protected, I need to add in those things that are going to kind of be moats around me that are going to protect me. So IULs are one of those vehicles that you can use. But when we look at it for the first 10 years, growth-wise, it's not going to give us that kind of growth.
Okay.
And so I use it for protection, not necessarily for growth.
Gotcha.
So that's why if you say my next 5 or 10 years is going to be about growth, then I would go ahead and piggyback that or bookend it with my IULs, with my trust, with those types of vehicles that are going to protect my wealth from taxes and make sure it passes to my heirs.
Come on. So pretty much is that once I make that 18.5 with the IRAs, I take that income and put it in an IUL and then draw that money tax-free.
You can either do it, now, if I have the Roth, I don't need the IUL for the tax-free income because the Roth is tax-free.
Gotcha.
But what I will need some type of life insurance for is to make sure that anything else because this is a problem you're going to have. This is something we need to know. Right now, the estate tax exemption is $11.5 million. What that means is if you have a net worth at your death of 11.5 million or less, your heirs don't have to pay estate taxes.
Okay.
We just did one calculation that says at a minimum, you might have 18.5 and you're not even 50 yet. Okay. So that's why we got to do this in parts, and we're going to have to come back and do another session because what do you do after you built the wealth? Now you got to protect it. Right?
Protect it.
So this is why IUL would be perfect in that scenario, because under the current estate tax law, your heirs would be taxed on 7.5 above the 11.5 million. So what an IUL could do is come in and pay the tax that they would have paid, so the full 18 million passes to them.
Come on, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's why, man, what is being left out of the conversation is we're hearing a lot of people talk about building wealth right now, but we don't have a lot of people talking about protecting the wealth after I've built it. That's the next phase.
That's the next phase. That is part 2 of this conversation. And really, I really want to talk about is how Trump is paying $800 in taxes, making 11.
No, we can't really talk about that. No, we're not trying to get anybody in trouble. No. Let's stick to this script. We're going to stick to this script right here. We're not even going to deal, because watch this. Now watch this. Come on. Seriously. What we just talked about, you've done it, and it didn't even require a 1,000-page tax return.
Sure did.
We said leveraging the Roth IRA where all of that money is tax-free IRS won't touch you because they were the ones that gave it to us. They gave us that gift. So see, it's just things that are available. Now, I'm not saying as a business owner, you don't have deductions, you don't have benefits. Right. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about for people who are listening to us, who felt like this is impossible, that I don't have enough time. I've wasted time. I've wasted money. I'm getting older. It's not possible. It's possible.
It's possible.
We just got to implement these strategies.
Man, you know what, man? And the thing about it is from an honesty standpoint, I just jumped in the stock market in March. Literally just jumped in the stock market.
Most people did.
I've always, I own real estate and things of that nature. But when it came to the stock market, I never, ever jumped in the stock market until life slowed down. I started hearing you talk about it and all these other podcasters and people talking about, man, you need to jump in the stock market. And I took the leap. I took some money. I said, let me get this mattress money that's not making me any money and let me put it in the stock market. It does not make sense having just paper. No, let me put it in a vehicle that can make me money. I've never doubled my money so fast ever in life. All right? I buy something at 16 and now it's 34. Within 2 months, I have never experienced growth like that in my life. So
hopefully what somebody who's listening has heard you say is that same thing they were afraid of, you were probably afraid of for all of these years. And you just said, man, enough is enough. I just got to figure this out. I may have some bumps along the way, may lose some, but I think my chances in the long run are going to be in my favor versus me continuing, like you said, to either put it under the mattress. And many of us, we still got money in the bank. So we're not doing the old school. It's in the bank and we're not making anything, right? So I'll always remember this. There's not been one person who has saved their way to wealth.
Never. You would never be able to save your way to wealth ever. All right. You're not getting any interest or anything from the bank. So you won't be able to save your way. And that is key, man. And that's really this is what this podcast is all about. It's really giving you the tools to take action. In 2021, we have to be not only, they say doers of the word. I mean, not hearers, but doers of the word.
Right.
We have to be executors, man. We have to take all this information and knowledge we know. We just got to go out here and execute it and be confident to make those decisions. And look, in the stock market, if an emergency comes, you can still touch that money. You can still
that's the beautiful part about
that money. Okay. So don't think that you can't put in the stock market, then it's gone and you can't touch it. No, if an emergency comes and you need to touch it, you can grab it. But
I'm glad you said that, Josh, because that is why I feel we need to get in now.
Yes.
Because unlike other asset classes, this money is more liquid for what you just said. Now, ideally, we want you to have emergency savings before you get in, right? That's why we say if I'm living on 30 and invest in 70, I've learned how to live within my means, actually below my means, that really I shouldn't worry about it being liquid because I shouldn't have to touch it. I'm good. I'm prepared for any type of emergency, right?
I believe it.
And so we understand that everybody's not going to be able to implement these 5 strategies immediately. Start from the base and work your way up, all right? Stop wasting time. Take this time, 2 things and I'll wrap up. Take this time to really focus on what are you going to do different. When you look over the next 10 years compared to the last 10, and whether you're happy or not on how the last 10 turned out, dedicate yourself to say, for the next 10, I want this end result. Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So where do you want to be? And then the second thing I want to say, we have learned this year that we can live on less. If we hadn't learned anything,
man, what?
We've learned. We almost at that college stage where we could make it off of, Roman noodles and those types of things. But we did it because we were forced to, right? We have all developed some new habits right now. I think one of them is realizing I don't need all of this stuff I thought I needed.
Nope.
Take that same mindset in 21 and say, I'm going to be investing in myself. Yes. I'm going to put some money in the market. I'm going to find the right vehicles. I'm going to leverage a Roth IRA. I'm going to get to that 70-30 And man, we should be having a totally different conversation 5-10 years.
Come on, man. I mean, hey, when that tornado hit and then that pandemic hit, I focused on one thing. Let me get lean. Let me become a lean green machine. Let me get rid of this $100,000 lifestyle I done built up. Because what we do is when we make more money, we build up our lifestyles to really match that money. So we get new whips. We doing all these different things. And what COVID and the pandemic has showed, I mean, not the pandemic, but what the tornado has showed me, it's like, yo, hey, you got to get lean. So no matter what happens, you don't have a huge debt load, or you don't have. So what are some of the things that you can get rid of? How can you free up some money? How can you free up some money to go out here and be able to invest in the stock market? Can you cut cable? Can you do certain things that can really, really impact your future? And that's what we have to be on right now. We have to be on getting the information. Go to YouTube University. Go to wherever you need to go. Listen to this podcast. I'm going to try to give you as much game as possible on the I'm Josh Saying podcast. But, man, we have to be consumers of information, not of products, but of information. We have to invest in ourselves to make the right decisions, to create generational wealth, to impact our kids. Hey, now, Chuck Winfrey, how do they find you on social media? Actually, tell us a little bit about your company.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it on the front end. I just want to talk about that on the back end. But tell us a little bit about your company, how they get in touch with you, what you do, all that great things.
All right. So Rollover Company, so they can visit us at rollovercompany.com. Rollover Company is a wealth management firm where we assist business owners, individuals, families on growing their wealth and then also protecting it. So we've talked about the growing aspect, but then at the very end, I'm glad you brought up, you still have to protect what you have built. So they can reach us, rollovercompany.com website. They can download free book. One of my books that I've written, get a free copy of that. Explore the website. All of our contact information is there. You can research me on all the social media outlets. Just look up my name, Charles Winfrey. You'll find me. We're just here to be a resource, man.
Man, that is amazing, man. And thank you so very much for being your boys, man. I'm Josh Saying's very first guest, man. Come on, give it up, man. I think you know what? I think we're gonna have you a resident role. So you know how you're my resident financial expert. That's what we're gonna make Charles Winfrey our resident financial expert to come on here and just really talk about things that's going on when it comes to the market, when it comes to so many things that's taking place when it comes to your finances, man, because we want you to take action. And that's what it's all about. You have to take action, and it takes small steps. Just take baby steps into this thing, but we have to build generational wealth for our kids. So I'd like to thank all my sponsors again. Pivot Technology School, which is a 20-week accelerator teaching data analytics, web development, cybersecurity. So if you really want to pivot your career into technology, the time is now. And also the Rollover Company. So make sure you all tune in to Great Convo Media. Go to greatconvomedia.com. You can check out all the other podcasters, and also make sure you subscribe to the I'm Josh Saying podcast, man. Thank y'all so very much for tuning in. Hopefully you got some tools to get your money right. Yes. Thank you so very much, Chuck Winfrey. And we out of here.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so very much.